Hello, hello. What's up? Okay, so it looks like I was just told that I'm the final person to speak here, so that's gonna be interesting. I'll try to leave you on like a positive note. Usually I'm pretty brutal and I like kind of negative actually, but I'm gonna leave you guys on a positive. So the title of this talk is Ideating, Building, and Iterating, and there's a cover image of Naruto because I thought it was pretty aesthetically pleasing. That's it, yeah. So, for those who just don't know who I am, random guy up on stage, my name is Farza. I'm the founder of Buildspace. Buildspace is the world's largest community of people building in Web3. We make about $2 million a year, we're profitable, we're backed by YC, A16Z, Founders Inc. So, it's about a year old now, and it's become somewhat legit in the last year. So, I'm sure, raise your hand if you know Buildspace. Cool, nice, it's a lot of, awesome, nice. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that like your creation after a year get this far. And I guess in the past, I've generally built or done a lot of things. This is like I guess a list, short list maybe. But the highlights of like the last kind of 13 years is like built an e-commerce company. I was in film school, so I made a lot of short films. After that, like built self-driving cars. And after that, I made a lot of bound to like making products. So like. Made a lot of products in the world of gaming. If you know League of Legends, just raise your hand real quick. Yeah, so I made a lot of products for League of Legends actually, just free products for people who play League of Legends, and got like millions of users on those. After that was the CTR Kanga, which was a Chrome extension to help you watch, to make watching Twitch a little bit better. And then I was also on the team at Mayhem, one of the first two. We were essentially building an AI coach for Overwatch. So while you play the game, I would create algorithms that would like, detect your screen and tell you to play the game better. So all to say, I've done a lot of random stuff, and I guess what I really wanted to do here is tell you a little bit about, I guess like core learnings. I think the next slide I talk about here. I guess I really want to tell you about my core learnings, like through different stories basically. Also, disclaimer here, I'm sure you all had a lot of talks over these last 2 days. Trust nobody in front of you, to be honest. They all don't know what they're talking about most of the time. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think what you should take away from me is just like, okay, this guy is telling me some stories, some things that he went through. I will register that in my brain, and then in my future decisions, I will think about that. But I don't think you should directly follow what I'm saying. I don't like giving advice, ever. So none of this is advice. I don't want to give anybody advice. Yeah, don't trust me 100%. And yeah, I guess the title of this talk is pretty loaded, right? Building, what is it? Ideating, building, and iterating, right? It's a lot. So I guess I'm not really interested in giving you like little lessons. Like I think you all are better than that. But what I'm interested in doing is I learn best through different, like essentially stories that other people can tell me about their own experiences, and then those essentially. Those stories can give me some amount of like lessons, essentially. Because like, honestly, for me, I have a very hard time listening to other people or taking their advice. Kind of stubborn, but I've always loved listening to others, their stories, and then essentially being like, wow, like essentially learning from what they live themselves, and then coming to my own conclusions. So throughout this, I highly recommend that as I talk about stuff, just come to your own conclusions, right? Like. Be an active listener in some sense. I'm not just gonna give you random lines of magic, to be honest. Don't expect that. I guess this is start here. Again, the title is Ideating, Building, Iterating, right? So how do you ideate? How do you get an idea? This is probably one of the most important things I've learned. It's that you don't need an idea to start, right? In anything that you want to create. You know, a lot of you here are in the Web3 land, right? So you may think that you need like a Web3 focused idea or some idea that provides value to others, or solves some problem. And I guess I just want to say that just make something that you think is interesting. That's it. It could just be like a cool little smart contract you write. It could just be some cool little product that you make for you and your friends. I think what's really important at the early stage, where you don't feel like you have this novel, amazing idea, is that at least you think it's cool, right? For Buildspace, as a quick example, when we started, I mean, we came up with the idea in 2 days. We just thought, wow, it'd be really cool if there was a better way for developers to learn about novel technologies. because then more people would build on those novel technologies. That's it, that was the core premise. And me and my buddy Alec thought it was cool, and then now over 100,000 people think it's cool, and a lot of people know it now, right? So, but we never really started off with a premise of wanting to, like, solve a problem or build something that was novel, right? It was like, do we think it's cool? Amazing, that's an amazing first step. So, a lot of you here are working on things. I know a lot of you here, actually, a couple of you, and I know many of you think your own thing is interesting. If you don't think your own thing is interesting, that's a problem, right? So, also, this works for like everything. Everything I'm telling you here is, I think, works across startups, film, music, writing, whatever. So, just a note there. I think, on this, I remember I was reading George Lucas's biography, and you would think the guy made Star Wars randomly, but he actually spent like 4 years making like the first script of Star Wars, which is insane. And I think that's interesting because he didn't have an idea when he started. He was like, I kind of want to have something in space, and I want there to be like a protagonist, right? And if you read the biography, it's like, that's literally how he started. And over time, just built on top of that. But he started with this idea that it'd be really cool to have an adventure in space. I'm gonna start there. And then he started there, right? And now we all like Star Wars. I want to point out a couple of examples here for me. This is a site I made a long time ago. I was like 19 when I made this. And it's called mood.gg. It still works today. Basically, it's a website that lets you type in a character from League of Legends and then listen to that character's music. And it was playlists that I made. Again, I was just dumb, 19, thinking, you know, me and my buddies like this. And it turns out, this goes like stupidly viral across Reddit and across like everywhere. And this becomes like the biggest product that I made up until this point. I think like over 600,000 people just use this. And thousands of people still use this every month, which is insane. But you know, all to say, like, when I came up with this idea, I didn't care about doing anything particularly massive. It was just like, again, it always starts at, do I think this is cool? So I would always ask yourself, do I think the thing I'm working on is interesting? Am I excited about the thing I'm working on? Because honestly, that's all that truly matters. If you have that, anything, you can solve anything else. You know, whether it be revenue problems or like hiring problems, whatever it is, as long as you think the core thing is cool, that's really all you need. But yeah, this was like a really kind of random and wild experience for me to just be like, wow, if I thought it was cool, it turns out, you know, 600,000 other people thought it was cool too. That's pretty wild. But again, I didn't have any notion of starting a company, solving problems. I was just like, wow, it'd be really cool if this existed. And I guess like, I have this slide in red. These red slides I made like as cheat code slides, like core learnings that I've had that I just want to put in red. And it's that before trying to make others happy, make yourself happy, create things that you love. I think a lot of people start at the notion of like, I need to find a random problem and then solve that problem. And I think that's fine, that works for some, but for me it just doesn't work. I'll just be like, in 2 days I'll be like, this is whack, I'm bored, this is stupid, like I just don't care. But I think for me, starting at this premise of like, as long as I, at the core, at the beginning am happy making what I'm making, the rest is actually extremely easy, to be honest with you. Getting customers, making the damn thing, like learning the things you need to learn to make it grow, like it all is actually extremely easy once you actually like the core thing. And you know, I work at Founders Inc. today, you know, alongside a lot of other people, and it's pretty cool to see that everybody thinks that the core thing that they're working on is sick. It's like the sickest thing ever, you know what I mean? It's like, some of you guys, I don't know if you follow Kanye West, but there's this video of Kanye West in the studio just like listening to his own songs like this. He's like, yeah, this is hard, yeah, right? So it's like, I think you need to have that same level of like excitement about your thing. And honestly, I logged on Buildspace this morning and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. I like this. It's like a new project we're working on. And I don't know, yeah, that's like very important that you think about that. I think most people skip this step. They always start at like the YC lecture or something, and they skip this step of like actually wanting to be happy themselves. So make yourself happy, because if you make yourself happy, chances are you probably make somebody else happy. So once you kind of have an idea, right, you have some notion of like, oh, it'd be really cool if XYZ existed, right? How do you go from there, right? I think the number one thing that separates like people who I've seen that are just like super fantastic at creating things and those who kind of just flop is that the ones who are fantastic at making things are really good at like starting from zero. And starting from zero essentially means that you're comfortable with not knowing like what the fuck you're doing, right? Like you're completely comfortable with that concept. And I know we hear this a lot, like there's gonna be a lot of unknowns, it's gonna be pretty dark, you know, like you're gonna have to figure out a lot along the road. But you know, truly the people who I've seen that have who have just continually like innovated, they're just comfortable starting from zero. So I'll just give you one quick example. Buildspace is a year old. I told you, a lot of you know it, right? But at the end of the day, like, I'm still kind of starting from zero every single week in many ways. Like, I look at the company at the beginning of every week, like, wow, there's like so much other stuff that we could be doing and should be doing, right? It's never like figured out for me. So I'm almost starting from zero almost every single week when I look at the company or when I look at the product, right? So you all, many of you are pre-product, right? So it's like, you're all really starting from zero. And I think the way you get good at starting from zero is just by starting from zero a lot. Like there's nothing else, you know? Like, for example, if you threw me in a room today and told me to make like EDM beats and then become like a top EDM musician, I think I could probably do that within 3 years, right? And this is not just me being like, I'm good at making, I don't know shit about EDM. Let's do it, yeah. I mean, yeah. No, but like, I truly think that like, you should have that mindset. Like, if you put me on anything for X number of years, I will figure it out, right? And I think you yourself will have that confidence eventually. Because then once you have that level of confidence, it's pretty easy to go out and do whatever the heck you want, right? Oh, like you want me to go make like the next like Bank of America, the next like Facebook, like, I don't know, it becomes almost easy thinking about it. And you become less scared as you keep on doing it. I'm gonna give you 2 examples here of when I started from zero. I used to sell, so before Buildspace was Zip School, before Zip School, I sold Christian jewelry online. I don't know shit about Christian jewelry, by the way. I was just like, wow. I went to Alibaba and I was like, wow, this is $1? And then I started running Facebook ads in middle of America, Republican America, and I started noticing I could sell these for $20. So I was like, that's pretty cool, you know? Like, so I essentially bought thousands of these and, you know, started selling Christian-related goods. I had a whole Christian store, a Christian brand. Again, I don't know shit about Christianity. But I did this thing, right? And you know, I was always really good about it. I was always talking to the users. I was like, am I like overstepping my bounds? Is this weird? Is this wrong? And I would always talk to these random Christian, usually moms in like Arkansas, and they're like, no, we love the brand, we love the company. It's totally fine that you don't truly believe in it with all your heart, but it's like, we love that you're doing this. And I don't know, I think for me, after I did this even, it's just so interesting that I could just go and start a Christian jewelry brand, you know? Isn't that crazy? And I'll take this a step further real quick. So the Christian thing lasted a month. I made a bunch of money, it was fun. But then I started feeling really bad. I was like, is this right? Is this moral? I don't know. And I started having those questions. And then let's go, let's do this, let's do another thing. And started this thing called Zip School. And Zip School was a way for any parent to legally start a homeschool in their state. So I built software that essentially let people start homeschools in their state. So because every state has different laws and regulations for homeschooling. And again, yeah, I mean, I'm 23. I was 23 at the time. I don't have any kids. I don't know. I was in homeschooled myself. But the reason I did it was because I saw homeschooling as, even the jewelry thing, by the way, but just to note, I thought this was super cool because I thought the aesthetics of the jewelry were really, really. I'm like really into like the world of like fashion. I think it's cool. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like I can like reinvent Christian fashion. That's cool to me. And then with Zip School, it's kind of similar, right? I was like, this is such a beautiful hack. Like you're telling me a kid doesn't have to go to school? Like they could just stay home? I would have loved that. You know, I would have loved to just stay home and then, you know, my mom would have loved to just teach me, but I think my mom just didn't know. Me and my mom talked about this. She's like, that existed? Wow. So anyways, started Zip School, and this guy's my cousin, Samir. I started homeschooling Samir. This is him eating whatever the fuck in the morning before I taught him. And again, like I don't know what I'm doing, right? But again, as you keep starting from zero, this is what starting from zero looks like. Look at this kid. Look at the fear in his eyes. You know what I mean? It's like it's scary. Yeah, it's a scary world. And his mom was stressed because I was like, you know, just don't worry, don't put him in school. And but again, this actually worked out because 3 months later I was actually in YC working on this company. I'd scaled it up. But again, you learn these things as you keep starting from zero. So whether you're starting like an EDM label or a Christian jewelry brand, whatever it is, you get really good at starting from zero as you keep doing it. But you have to do it a lot. And you have to be okay with it flopping, I guess. This is good times, actually. Look at them. Anyways, red slide, I guess. What the fuck does a 22-year-old know about homeschooling kids? Embrace the darkness. Push hard towards shipping and creating value. Trust that you'll learn. Again, another slide that I wish I saw when I was, like 5 years ago. Yeah, I don't know, pretty well. And honestly, the second line is pretty important. I think you have to, it's one thing to be okay with the unknown. It's another thing to be like, I love the unknown, Like, put me in there, coach. You know what I mean? So once I saw the homeschooling thing, I was excited by it, not only because it was a hack in the system that I was excited by, or the Christian thing, it's because it was a very, like, different space that I knew nothing about. And I think that when you know nothing about something, your take on how to change it is usually pretty novel. So again, I may not know shit about homeschooling, but it turns out I built a pretty decently sized homeschooling company, not knowing what I was doing, because I learned along the way. And I think you just need to learn to trust yourself. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces of, like, I'll call building. It's like starting from zero over and over again and just being okay with that. And I put in this previous slide that you have to ship. We use this word a lot everywhere. You probably have heard this word maybe 1,000 times in the last 2 days. And this is my definition of shipping. It's getting people to use your stuff, not just making it. So, I didn't just sit there making Christian jewelry or just sitting there like making a landing page for homeschooling. Like, no, I literally got my cousins and local kids in the neighborhood and was like, come to my house, I will teach your kid. You have to actually get it to people. And by the way, just a thing here, I think that shipping is interesting because it gets you more excited. Like when I first saw that my cousin was like enjoying the curriculum that I was making him, I was super inspired for like a week, right? And then every single week, as you keep on putting stuff out there, as you keep showing people new stuff, it suddenly becomes, you become yourself a lot more inspired by it. So again, shipping, sure, get it out there, get users, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's like, you yourself get inspiration from putting things out there. And I think that's what no one talks about. I think you should always think about that. Like, yes, it's good to grow, yes, it's good to get users, but why? Well, it's good because you yourself actually become 10x more invigorated working on the thing. Imagine how terrible it would be. Well, some people may just love making beats in their room and not showing anybody, right? But imagine a world where I make beats in my room and every week I show my friends and they're like, this is awesome, right? You can imagine that person making beats would be a lot more inspired and work on it longer term. So just another reason why shipping it is important, I guess. And this is a really big one. This is one that I got wrong for like a long time. Don't overcomplicate it. I'll go through one mistake I made that was like, I'll call like a highlight mistake that really nailed into me not to overcomplicate things. But don't overcomplicate things. Just make the thing and then give it to people. Like, just focus on that. You know what I mean? I think a lot around you may see people raising big rounds or like beautiful products made on Twitter, and you're just like, I will never amount to anything. I can barely like understand like what font to pick. Like, you're telling me I gotta like put this out there for other people to look at now? Again, don't overcomplicate it. It's as simple as just putting it out there. Honestly, I would think a lot about how a writer or a musician does their thing. Don't just look at startups or like product people. Like, again, if I'm a musician, and you read any biography of any big musician, from like Porter Robinson to whatever, and they have the same thing where it's like they make the thing, they show their friends, they make the thing, they show more friends, and they keep on doing this. You know what I mean? They have a closed group of people that they're sharing with constantly, and those are their users, right? But again, like, a good musician doesn't overcomplicate it. They just make music and they show people. It's not that deep, So don't make it that deep. This is something I was working on 4 years ago. It's an app that let people view food in augmented reality. So you would point your phone at the table, and it would show you the food, that restaurant's menu in the form of 3D models. Pretty cool, right? 45 minutes. All right. All right. Yeah. So I guess like just take a guess. How many of you all think I made like $1,000 a month off this? Come on. All right. Yeah. But we made $10 a month off this. Like at peak, by the way. We worked on this for an entire year. An entire year, I was actually sitting with my buddy Alec, working on this for a whole year. And it didn't see the light of day. It was only till around month 12 where I was like, Alec, we should go door to door to every restaurant in SF. And then for 2 weeks straight, went door to door to every restaurant on Market Street, essentially. And then everybody just said, fuck off, you know? And we were like, wow. Oh man, looks like nobody wants this. That sucks. You know, I spent 6 months, you know, making the 3D model process amazing. I spent another 6 months making the AR process amazing, right? Like this app, if you still used it even today, it was perfection. Perfection to the nth degree, you know? And you can even order now directly, like through DoorDash and shit. It was amazing. And the thing is, we overcomplicated it a lot, right? You know, I even went to restaurants and I would hand out these signs, you know, like food reimagined. Turns out nobody wants to reimagine food. You know, they just want pictures of that shit and they want to buy it and leave. So essentially, we overcomplicated it a lot in the sense of we kept on thinking that what we were making was the coolest, dopest thing that the human race has ever seen in their entire life. Turns out it was not. And why did that happen? It's because we spent a whole year not showing it to anybody other than us. And I think that's why it's important to like, again, ship something. Like, yeah, you gotta like show it to other people. You know? Like, otherwise you get caught in this trap that we were in. And again, the memories of this thing haunts me to this day, thinking about how I spent an entire year of my life on it. But yeah, I don't know, pretty wild. But pretty proud of it overall. But you know, just a lesson to be learned. We overcomplicated it a ton, and that's what ended up happening. Yeah, I mean, this is a big one. This is more on iterating now. So I can tell you all about how to iterate. Like, you need to look at your metrics. You need to build new features. You need to like test them out every week. Honestly, I think there's enough of that online, and if you're smart, you can just find it yourself. But then the one thing nobody told me is that don't get in your own head, you know? Don't ever, you know, you see these quotes here, right? Once you start feeling these things, or you're doing these things, you're actually losing to yourself, you know? And I think that 99% of like my own, I would call it struggle, is actually with myself. Like if I look back at the last decade of life making things, right? The 99% battle is actually with my own self. It is not the battle of trying to raise money or trying to get users. That's all figured out actually. Like you'll find that you'll figure that shit out. But what you need to like spend time figuring out is like actually yourself. I know that sounds kind of weird in this context of like building products, but reading more PG essays or watching more YC videos won't help you figure yourself out. I'm sorry. You know, retweeting more random ass startup stuff isn't gonna help you figure yourself out. I'm sorry. Go sit in a room somewhere and think deeply about who you are. I don't know, like whatever you want, whatever you need to do. Call it religion, call it like whatever it is. I think everybody has their own way to figure themselves out. Why am I doing this? Why do I care? Do I still give a shit about this? Like I think these are all questions you should ask yourself every day. Because honestly, if you have solid answers to that question of like, why am I doing this? Everything else is trivial, you know? It's like, I'm doing this because I think it's X, Y, Z. And I guess, you know, everybody has their own reason. I have my own reasons. And again, I keep recommending this book. I think I recommended it like 5 times this week. But it's a sick book. I don't want to push like a religion. This is more like a philosophy book. And yeah, it's a great book that helped me, I guess, figure myself out in many ways. So, I don't know, it's pretty good. I don't really know shit about Zen, to be honest. I just read this book. But it helped a lot. And now I have like a very beginner's, I don't know, even the title of the book, The Beginner's Mind, it's like, how do you always keep that childlike mentality of being excited about what you're doing, right? I think for me, like, every day, or most days, I would say 50 or like 85% of the days, I wake up and I'm like, really excited, you know, but I don't really know why. And I think it's because I always look at every single day as this new thing to like mess with, right? Versus like, oh fuck, I gotta go figure this out, you know? So it's like, I never really feel that ever. It's mostly just feeling like, oh, I just gotta figure this out, and then I gotta do X, Y, Z, and oh, cool, yeah, it should be fun. Let's do this, you know, like that. It's But I think you can only get there if you figure yourself out first. No number of Notion docs that you make to yourself or product roadmaps will fix this for you. Also, by the way, just a random note. If anybody lives like this, you got to make sure they read that book. Or you got to make sure they figure themselves out or something. This is my room, like 5 years ago. And I think I sent this to Furkan in the back there, right there. I sent it to him, and he was just so disappointed in me. He's like, dude, do I have to buy you a desk? Like, can you not afford a desk? Like, why do you live like this? Like, this is wrong. And I guess looking back, honestly, it was pretty wrong. Not because it hurt, one, because it fucking hurt my back. But then two, it's like you should spend time making like your life decent. It shouldn't just be 100% about you building great products or great whatever. Spend some amount of your life on making your own life decent. Just get a chair, man. I don't know. Get a chair. That's the lesson. And lastly, just stay consistent. This is easier said than done, where you need to actually just sit down and do the thing. I don't know how to say this other than this is really, really hard. Like once you launch your first thing, that's already so difficult. Like to get something out on Twitter, product out, whatever. And now you're telling me to do that every single week. So at Buildspace, we actually launch nearly every single week. Every single Friday, we actually launch something completely new to a subset of our audience, if not to all our audience. And max every 2 weeks, right? So not more than 2 weeks does not go by where we're not like putting something new out into the world. Again, this is very hard, especially when you're in the early days, when it's just you, right? So again, I'm a solo founder, so for most of my first, I think, a year and a half, it looked like this. This is me in my, the terrible posture, I know. But this is a picture, it's a picture my mom took of me. I was with my mom, and yeah, this is me for a year, actually. And it's just funny, my mom would just like show me this, and I was like, I completely forgot like how boring that looks. But again, I'm like in the zone, you know, I'm just like, there's like colors going in my brain. And honestly, there's this thing as well, where it's like, you're in Founders Inc., right? These are some of the people at Founders Inc. who helped me. So while I was digital, these people were actually like in my life in some format, right? They were always like around in some way, and I could always lean on somebody. So while I was sitting in my laptop with a protein water bottle as my mom took pictures of me, I was talking to these people, right? And you know, these are people working on the completely different things. You got that guy working on ThirdWeb. You got that guy working on eBuild. You got that guy working on Zeet. They're all different companies, but I think that, all to say, find a crew and just keep them close. I think that you can spend forever going to like new founder meetups every week trying to find friends or something, right? But I think that what you should do is just find the people that you think are interesting or cool to be around and just like double down on them, like literally bet on them. And just be like, I'm not gonna leave your side for like a decade. I know that's hard to think about, right? But that's actually what I thought. I was like, when I first met those guys, and you know, some people in this room, like you know, Jake here or whatever, I was like, you know, I'm just gonna double down on these people for like a decade and I'll see where I end up. And that's kind of what ended up happening. But then what ended up happening is like you build this really great support system. And I think you shouldn't skip this step. Like, it's already hard to make stuff. It's so hard to make stuff, like whether it be art, music, startups, whatever. So don't like suffer alone, you know? Suffer with somebody else. And then finally, I thought I changed the slide, it's kind of cringe, but you're all builders. I don't know a lot of all's backgrounds or lives or anything like that. But I guess all to say, you're all here today, and to me, you're no different from these people. These people just like making stuff, and you all are interested in making stuff, or already making stuff. Fantastic. To me, you're in the same league as those people. Like, I don't care. Like, to me, like, if Elon was there and then some random dude was there, it's the same thing to me. You know, I don't actually care. They're like in the same. They're like in a similar league, in the sense that they're just people who like to do things and make things for the world. And some people like to do bigger things, and that's cool too. But yeah, I don't know. We're just people who want to build interesting things. And don't let it be that much deeper, you know? Like, don't think there's tiers, right? Like that person's different from me, and I have to get to their level. Like, I wouldn't think about it like that. I just think about it more like, oh, like, that person has figured some more stuff out, and I'm figuring my stuff out, and I'll get to, like, I'll find my own path, essentially. I think a lot of people try to emulate. Like, don't try to emulate. Like, I think a lot of people will look at like some random founder's talk and be like, I want to follow that person's path. Like Airbnb, like wow, like did you see how they let people stay in their apartment? You know, like on the couch, on the floor, and you look at them now. You know, it's like these stories actually don't mean shit to me. They're cool, but I think at the end of the day, that story to me just is really inspiring in other ways. I'm not gonna try to be like the Airbnb guys. You know, like, I don't. I'm me. You're you. So don't try to be like somebody else. Also, I just made this meme. This is actually a meme that Furkan came up with, but I just put it on actual like a JPEG. But yeah, on the left you have somebody that's just like really new to startup land, building product land. That person's like, I'm gonna ship and show my friends. You know, it's like, what? Are you crazy? And then you have the person in the middle. This is most of entrepreneurs. Before I ship, I need to talk to VCs, raise money, write specs, put together a business plan, you know, all this stuff, right? And then on the right side, you have the super talented, experienced entrepreneur. Ship and show my friends, you know? So it's interesting. A lot of you are on the left, right? But then a lot of you may be on the right, and then some of you may be in the middle, which is most of, I think, product builders. Make sure you're in one extreme. It's fine. Honestly, on the left, that's the scrub, that's the noob, right? And look how great it is to be a noob. Wouldn't you rather be a noob here? It's actually good, right? I think a lot of people are always like, it's good to be new to something. This is proof that it's good to be new to something. This statistical chart built by science is proof that this is like, you know, important. So yeah, I mean, even Buildspace, right? We shipped it and we showed 10 friends, they showed 20 friends. This is not rocket science. Just make something and then people will tell people about if it's good. There's nothing else to it. But yeah, I've been in the middle. We've all been in the middle in some capacity. Anyone who's made it or anyone who's on this side has always been here. You know, everybody I've talked to, whether you're some big IPO'd founder or whether you're like, you know, like a Series C type company, you've always been here. And you're actually, sometimes you end up here. So I was here like I'm here sometimes, honestly, like maybe 2 months ago I was here. Sometimes I'm here in small ways, but then it's always up to me to like just go more to this side, you know? For example, one quick example is just that we had a new product idea, and I was thinking about all these things, like, oh, like, how will we get it to users? Like, how will it work? How will it feel? Is this novel? And again, I was like here. And I think that I should have just been here, like, oh, a new product idea? Sounds interesting. Let's make it in a couple of days and then show people, you know? And I think that's it. TY for having me. Thanks for having me. I don't know if we do questions, but I guess I can do like maybe 2 or 3. We do questions? We'll do like maybe 3, and then if you want to talk to me, I'll be around for the rest of like an hour or so. Thanks.
Any questions for Farza?
Any questions? If not, that'd be awesome. Amazing. Question? You just say it. What's up?
All right. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay. So like, if you only had like 1 year left, what would be the end of your plan to build?
If I had a year left, I would. So if I had a year left, I have a year to get something pretty big. That's tough. I think I'd probably spend it all on Buildspace and then make sure I set up the right people in the leadership roles to have it continue being worked on for like the next 10 years. So on my dying day, I hopefully can look at Buildspace and be like, Alec, you got this, man. Go get it. Or like, Stellan, you got this, man. Sayonara. But then if I was optimizing for fun, I'd probably build like I'd probably write an anime or make an anime. Yeah, I'd ship an anime. Yeah, in the year. That's a fun question. Anything else? What's up?
So, wait, oh my god. Okay, yeah, so if you have, I think when you start an idea, you're like getting it off the ground, it's really exciting to be like, oh, you're growing really fast, iterating, you're getting it out to people. Once you get to like a later stage, and like for example, you expand, or like you might get slower sorts, how do you maintain that passion?
Yeah, it's a good question. The question is like, once you kind of make something, and it's really cool, it's really exciting, it's growing, or it's doing something, right? You made like $1,000, and then it starts to like flatline or even die, right? Like, what do you do? Honestly, this is the exact scenario that Buildspace is in today, where it's like, we've innovated on some products, and we're sustainable to some extent, but then we need to figure out our next big thing, right? And it's actually really hard. Like, how do you actually keep innovating, right? And I think that, honestly, I've been thinking about this question a lot, even just myself. And I think that my core answer is, you need to just go back to like what you were doing initially, right? You were just making something for fun, seeing what people said. Like, don't lose that. Don't lose that energy. Just because you're a bigger company with hires and you raised money, you should still go out and treat the company as if like you're just hacking around with your friends, in my opinion. And I think that's really fun. Like, to me, like, that's what we do at Buildspace now, and that's given us like a lot of, like, we complete, for example, like 3 weeks ago, we came up with and shipped a brand new product. And that new product has some number of users. It's growing at some percent now. But there's nothing complicated there. All we did was we trusted ourselves, we came up with an idea, we shipped it, and people liked it. You just gotta keep on doing that. It doesn't actually get more complicated than that, to be honest, even at the level we're at. Let's do one more question. What's up?
Yeah, how many of these companies did you have a co-founder for, and like, did you find that helpful?
So I actually never had a co-founder. I've never had a co-founder. I've always preferred to work solo because I don't know. I just prefer to work solo. I'm also really good at like, again, why do you have a co-founder? It's usually to regulate yourself mentally, most importantly. And sure, they have different skill sets as well, right? But at the end of the day, that's a person you can lean on, cry on their shoulder when shit's bad, right? That's really what a co-founder is there for. And for me, I just felt like I didn't need that. I'm pretty good and stable myself. I can like handle myself, so I'm good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's really the truth. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have struggled looking for a co-founder. I will end on one thing here. You have a lot of people here. I think that the best way to find a lot of people ask me like, how do you find a co-founder? I've never had one, but I can tell you that the best way to get a co-founder is just by making something interesting, telling the world, and letting those people reach out to you. Like, that's it. For example, maybe you'll walk around here, like, yo, I'm working on this like Web3 cookbook. And then that person's really excited by it, right? Amazing. Like, you find your co-founder, you know? Or maybe someone looks at it and it's like, that's cool, man, yeah. All right, let's catch you later. You know, that person's not. It's like you want to like attract new people into like your life as a builder, ideally based on the things that you're working on, right? So it's like, you know, the people in my life now, like, especially in Founders Inc., they're all people that think Buildspace is somewhat interesting. And I think what they're working on is interesting. And if you're looking for a co-founder, it's like that feeling, but even more. So if you put out like a new demo of your product, right? And you get 5 people messaging you, like, this is sick, man. Like, how can I join? How can I get involved? You're like, whoa, that's really cool. Like, I would love to talk to you more. And actually, that's the best way to find a co-founder. Like, not necessarily going to random bars and talking to people about like what they're working on, or going to random founder events. Or cold DMing. It's truly just sitting in your room, posting it on Reddit, Twitter, Medium, whatever the fuck, and then getting other people to look at it. And then you'll find that people who really care will reach out to you. Even me and Founders Inc. Like, how did I end up here? I wrote a Medium article when I was in college. This guy Furkan saw it, and then that's it. And then now I'm here somehow, right? Because he thought the art article was interesting. And then somehow that article has like led me to this path that I'm in today. Like, that's crazy, right? That I was just fucking around in college. I made something interesting, and then someone else interesting reached out to me, and they wanted to talk to me. And I think you should just keep doing that. And if no one interesting is reaching out to you right now, well, it's a clear sign that what you're working on is not that interesting, or you're just not doing the right thing to get it out there. So, yeah. So just keep getting stuff out there. I don't know. Yeah. I'll end on that.